Scarlett Johansson shocked everyone on Saturday Night Live with a bold roast of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Her jokes weren't just funny, they hit hard, cutting through the carefully controlled image the couple has built for years. Despite reported attempts by Meghan's team to block direct mentions, NBC aired everything uncensored. The result? A clear sign that Harry and Meghan's media control is slipping. This wasn't just comedy, it was a cultural turning point. For the first time, the Sussexes were open game, and the reaction inside Hollywood was loud and clear. The tide has turned. Scarlett didn't hold back in framing Harry and Meghan not as misunderstood royals, but as celebrities who've turned victimhood into a full-time brand. She joked that Meghan could stretch their royal wedding drama into a 3-season series, something the public has started to feel exhausted by. What once seemed like a fresh, hopeful chapter for the monarchy has become a non-stop cycle of interviews, documentaries, and media events, all repeating the same story: how unfairly the couple claims to have been treated. This constant narrative has worn down even their biggest supporters. Johansson's jokes captured that public fatigue perfectly, showing that what once sparked sympathy now mostly invites eye rolls. But the story wasn't over yet. What Scarlett said next cut even deeper. One of Scarlett Johansson's sharpest jabs targeted Meghan's lifestyle influencer image, specifically a bath salt recipe featured on a Netflix series. Sources say that a woman allegedly suffered severe burns from using the product, and now a lawsuit is reportedly underway. Scarlett didn't soften the blow. She called it out directly, turning what might have been a quiet legal matter into primetime comedy. And despite Meghan's team reportedly requesting control over mentions, NBC aired the joke uncensored. This moment wasn't just embarrassing, it was a sign that Harry and Meghan's tight grip on their public image was slipping fast. When your Netflix show becomes the punchline of a late-night joke, it's clear the narrative is no longer yours to control. But the fallout went far beyond laughs. It revealed a major shift in how Hollywood and the public view the Sussexes. And that shift was about to get even bigger. Scarlett's roast was more than a punchline. It exposed a deep change in public and Hollywood opinion. For years, Harry and Meghan enjoyed a sort of untouchable status, protected by an industry reluctant to criticize them openly. But that shield has cracked. Inside Hollywood, executives and agents started treating the couple like risky business. Reports say some even consider them box office poison, not because of any scandal, but because their name now draws more eye rolls than applause. This shift is huge. When A-list comedians freely mock you without consequence, it signals a broader loss of respect, and that loss affects deals, partnerships, and future projects. But the damage wasn't just in the spotlight. The jokes also embarrassed allies and partners who once stood by the Sussexes, making defending them feel more like a liability than loyalty. And Netflix, one of their biggest backers, felt the sting too. Scarlett Johansson's biting jokes didn't just land on Harry and Meghan, they rippled through their entire network of supporters. Celebrities, media personalities, and corporate partners who had publicly stood by the Sussexes suddenly found themselves caught in an uncomfortable spotlight. What once looked like steadfast loyalty started to feel risky. Defending Harry and Meghan in Hollywood's image-obsessed world began to feel less like a badge of honor and more like a potential career liability. Insiders say no one wants to be the last person holding the bag when public opinion flips. And that's exactly the position their allies found themselves in. Netflix, one of the Sussexes' biggest backers, experienced this firsthand. The streaming giant had poured millions into projects tied to Harry and Meghan, betting on their royal connection to draw massive audiences. At first, the releases generated buzz and strong initial viewership. But the interest quickly faded. Critics started openly mocking the content, dismissing it as gossip fodder rather than prestige programming. Sources say Netflix executives grew concerned about the long-term viability of their Sussex projects. This drop in support wasn't limited to media giants. High-profile celebrities who had shared public moments or endorsements with Meghan reportedly began to keep their distance. Beyoncé's management, for example, made it clear there was no ongoing commercial relationship despite Meghan's past attempts to leverage their brief encounters. The silence was deafening, and in Hollywood, silence often speaks louder than words. Without powerful allies, Harry and Meghan faced growing isolation. Those closest to them became more cautious, reluctant to publicly defend a brand now viewed as controversial and risky. But the damage went even further. Beyond media and entertainment, the couple's philanthropic efforts came under intense scrutiny, exposing cracks in their carefully curated image of goodwill. Harry and Meghan's philanthropic venture, Archewell, was introduced with great fanfare as a symbol of their commitment to positive change. The couple painted it as a way to focus on meaningful causes and create a lasting legacy beyond their royal titles. But beneath the polished PR, cracks have started to show. And Scarlett Johansson's sharp jokes on Saturday Night Live only made those cracks impossible to ignore. Scarlett's quip that Archewell sounded more like a spa for egos wasn't just a throwaway line. It echoed a growing chorus of critics and insiders who have quietly questioned how much the foundation actually delivers on its promises. Public financial records, now widely circulated online, reveal that Archewell's spending leans heavily toward public relations, marketing, and branding, far outweighing the amount allocated to direct charitable grants. In fact, sources close to nonprofit watchdog groups say this imbalance raises red flags. Rather than funneling resources to the communities and causes they claim to support, Archewell seems focused on maintaining a glossy image for the Sussex brand. Forbes and several investigative journalists took notice too, publishing articles that questioned what Archewell had tangibly achieved since its launch, especially given the millions invested. This financial scrutiny might have remained a niche discussion if not for the spotlight Scarlett's jokes cast. Comedy has a way of making complex issues simple and shareable. Suddenly, people who never followed royal philanthropy found themselves scrolling through screenshots of tax filings, debating whether the foundation's priorities were genuine or just a vanity project. For Harry and Meghan, this public questioning hit at the heart of their carefully curated narrative. Archewell was supposed to be their moral compass, proof they were more than royalty-turned-celebrities. Now, it looked like just another part of the brand struggling to keep up with expectations. Industry insiders watching the fallout say this is damaging not only for public perception, but also for potential partnerships. Nonprofits, sponsors, and media companies tend to shy away from associations that come with too much controversy or questions about authenticity. The Sussexes' philanthropic credibility, once seen as a strength, now feels fragile. And the scrutiny doesn't end there. The jokes and the media attention soon turn toward even more personal aspects of their lives, adding fuel to the fire of public skepticism. While Harry and Meghan have long tried to manage their public image, recent events suggest that their carefully constructed personas are starting to crack under pressure. Scarlett Johansson's SNL monologue did more than provoke laughs. It highlighted some uncomfortable realities that the couple may have hoped would stay out of the spotlight. One of the sharpest moments came when Scarlett pointed out Prince Harry's peculiar U.S. residency status. Despite living in America with all the benefits it offers, sources say Harry hasn't applied for U.S. citizenship. This raises questions beyond just paperwork. Many legal analysts have discussed the ambiguity around his visa type, tax responsibilities, and whether he uses diplomatic exemptions, topics that were once mostly behind closed doors, but are now front and center in public debate. The joke distilled these complex issues into a simple, relatable punchline. It suggested Harry might be enjoying all the perks of American life without fully committing to its obligations, a point that struck a chord with viewers and sparked renewed conversations about privilege and accountability. For Meghan, the damage was equally real. The bath salt lawsuit joke didn't just embarrass her, it cast a shadow over her image as a trusted lifestyle influencer. The fact that a product tied to her Netflix series allegedly caused severe injuries brought intense scrutiny to her endorsements and personal brand. Fans and critics alike began to question the authenticity and safety of her wellness advice, which until then had been a major part of her post-royal identity. The situation complicated her reputation, turning her from a celebrated figure into a subject of skepticism. Together, these personal reputation cracks reveal a broader cultural shift. Sympathy and fascination have given way to doubt and mockery. The Sussexes are no longer protected by the aura of royalty or celebrity. They're now symbols of debates around celebrity responsibility and public accountability. This change isn't just about jokes or headlines. It's affecting how audiences, brands, and even former allies perceive them. The cracks in their reputation have real consequences, influencing everything from their public support to potential business ventures. And as these challenges grow, it's clear the couple faces an uphill battle to regain trust and reshape their public image. For years, Harry and Meghan seemed untouchable. Protected by a mixture of royal status, media sympathy, and Hollywood influence, they operated behind a kind of cultural force field. Criticism was often vague or softened, jokes carefully muted. But Scarlett Johansson's SNL monologue shattered that barrier in one swift, unforgettable moment. Late-night comedy has always been a barometer of public sentiment, and when A-list stars like Scarlett start roasting someone without fear of backlash, it signals a seismic shift. The unspoken industry courtesy protecting the Sussexes has vanished, replaced by a new reality where they are fair game. The consequences are far-reaching. Phone calls go unanswered, invitations stop coming, meetings and potential projects get postponed or quietly canceled. PR experts call it the social cold shoulder, a slow, quiet punishment far more damaging than public attacks because it cuts off relevance and opportunity. Their carefully curated brand, once seen as a powerful asset, now looks like a liability. Collaborators and executives grow wary of being associated with a couple whose names spark eye rolls rather than applause. The once glossy image has dulled, replaced by skepticism and mockery. This shift isn't just about celebrity gossip, it's about reputation as currency in Hollywood and beyond. When you lose that currency, doors close. For Harry and Meghan, the stakes couldn't be higher. What made Scarlett's monologue so devastating was that it didn't rely on scandalous leaks or shocking revelations. It was built entirely on public facts, statements, and records, arranged cleverly into jokes that exposed the truth in a way no editorial could. By the time the clip went viral, the message was clear. In the court of public opinion, Harry and Meghan aren't the misunderstood victims. They're the punchline. Scarlett Johansson's 4-minute roast